Welcome to the Canine Classroom, a podcast for dog owners, professionals, and sports enthusiasts where we discuss training, behavior issues, sports, and everything in between. We're three friends and colleagues who share a passion for dogs, and although we have many similarities, we also have many differences in our training styles and the methods we practice. We're here to have open conversations, ask questions, get answers, as well as hear from colleagues and experts in the industry. So take a seat and get your notepad out because class is in session. Hey everyone, welcome to Canine Classroom. I'm Anthony DeMarinis and I'm joined here by my friends and co-hosts Stephanie Rayner and Vinny Viola. Hello everyone.
Hi guys.
Hey, what's going on?
How are we doing today?
Good, excited to be here.
Yeah, you were like out winning medals and stuff. I see you on the Facebook, the Book of Face, posting on podiums. So what happened? What was going on?
Well, it's been a while since we've chatted. So I went out to the West Coast, where I competed at the West Coast UKI US Open, which is like a national event. It's also a world team qualifying event for World Championships that's in the Netherlands in May. So we went out there and we won our spot for that team.
Oh, nice.
And thank you so much. We also won a couple of other events. And then since then, I was just in Florida and at the East Coast UKI US Open, which is another national championship. And we did okay there. Stood on a box. So yeah, doing good.
Nice. Congrats. That's awesome.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you. What's going on with you two?
Nothing.
Not much, we hung out again.
I know. I'm jealous of your
couple times.
Your
we went
bromance.
hiking with the dogs last time.
So nice.
Anthony has a portable picnic table. He keeps it in his car.
Really?
No,
Yes.
And he just took it out and set it up in my driveway. I was
like a Cato
very
board?
embarrassed.
And he was so embarrassed
not like
he walked away and
I've
went in his
ever
car.
seen. It's unlike anything I've ever seen.
What, the table or me sitting on the table?
The table and you sitting on it. I don't even know how to even begin describing it.
I was going to say, can you please elaborate?
I want you to really make the picture that you said it looked like. What was it? Tell me I'm wrong or something.
So he takes this thing out of his car that's almost the same size as like a fucking laptop. Like it's like this small little box. And then it like folded out. And then it folded out again. And then somehow it folded again. And it just kept getting bigger. And then it was like the size of a table, like a beer pong table. But then when he pulled the legs out, instead of just legs coming out, like these little benches came out also that were almost like a picnic table bench, but only the same, just enough size for like a little human tushy to sit on. It was ridiculous.
That's amazing.
And like as he sat, the whole thing would bend and warp. Like,
oh, come on!
In multiple. No. I'm not making a
nonsense.
joke about your weight because you are not overweight. I'm making a joke about the sturdiness of this contraption. And the thing that was scary too is like if it were to break, it didn't look like it would just like fall downward. It looked like it would like close up and like suck you into it somehow. Like a fly trap because it was bent out in so many different directions. I'm not even lying right now. Thing is ridiculous.
He wouldn't even sit on it with me.
I wouldn't sit on. He was like, sit on the other side. I'm like, I'm not sitting on that. It did not look like it was gonna support us.
He was so embarrassed. He went in his car. He just sat in his car and waited for me to.
No, I took like 3 steps back and took a picture of it because no one would ever.
As one naturally would.
Yeah, and I'm gonna have to post it.
But I want you to
please share the goods.
I want you to put the sign on it. The whatever that sign was that you said.
When we release this episode, I'll put the sign of like episode, whatever this episode's going to be released. Because we're recording these all over the place.
Speaking of this episode, so we recorded a few episodes and we realized we probably should record an introduction. So we're rewinding, and here we are.
Oh boy.
So let's
We've been
introduce
avoiding
each other,
this.
I guess. Say again.
We've been avoiding this, right?
We have been avoiding this, but it is time, my friends. It is time. So
You first, boss.
no.
Yeah, you brought it up.
Oh, you threw me under the bus.
Literally.
So threw me under the little foldable table right there.
Yep.
All right. So what are we doing here? I guess we'll introduce each other, what we do, et cetera, et cetera.
Training backgrounds, beliefs, that kind of thing.
All right. So I'm Anthony DeMarinis. I have my own dog training company, DeMarinis Dog Training and Behavior, located on Long Island. And I specialize in working with dogs mainly with behavior issues, but I kind of work with a little bit of everything. And I do mainly in-home sessions, and I also work with a lot of clients in other states across the country virtually.
My name is Vinny Viola. I'm a dog trainer in Rockland County, New York. My business name is Canine Jester. I work with pet dogs, families. I do day training. I also work virtually with people across the world that find me. And yeah, I like working with excitable, hyper dogs. They're fun for me.
Does they match your personality?
Yes. Yes. All over the place.
Yeah.
On that note, I'm Stephanie Rayner. I own Be Good Dogs. I'm located in Northford, Connecticut. I teach the sport of dog agility. I have for over 20 years now. I travel all over teaching seminars and workshops, but home base is Connecticut. So
sounds good. So guys, what I was thinking, I look at some common questions I see are how do you become a dog trainer, right? So people might be interested in becoming one. And how do you choose a dog trainer? So those are kind of just some main themes that I know we'll probably go off on a tangent and somehow start talking about marker words and shapings, and we're not even talking about this, but we're going to try. We're going to try to stick.
It up. You're already
Come
doing
on. I'm just planting the seeds so that later when we go off
plant
the
the
deep
seed.
end, we could, Anthony won't be so upset over there.
Why am I going to be upset?
Because you're taking notes. You get me nervous over there.
Oh, that was not. It had nothing.
Every time
to
you
do
start
with
taking
you.
notes when I talk, I
It
get
had
so
nothing
nervous.
to do with you.
I
Don't
get
worry.
so nervous. I know. It's like I say
You get
something and then
so-
you look away and you start writing something down. I feel like I'm at like a psychologist's office. And I'm like, I overshared. I said something I shouldn't have, and they jotted something down. I'm like, uh-oh, that was it.
Tell me, Vinny, how do you read?
No.
Look, that's not the podcast for that.
Hold on. Let me go get my bench. We'll sit down. Hold on one second.
Oh.
We'll sit down and have a session.
All right, boys, this is why you need me to keep you guys on track. So maybe I'll jump in here. You asked a lot of questions there, Vinny, but I think I'll share a little bit about my experience, because I am the one of us, I believe, that sort of fell into this world or was born into it, essentially.
There you go.
So yeah, so like I said, I've been
choice.
Exactly. I was forced into it. No, but like I said, I've been doing the sport of dog agility for over 20 years. My mom was an in-home dog trainer for pet manners and behavior modification. So I was born into it. My mom also competed in competition obedience and agility. And so that is how I found agility. I was 7 when I got started and found a local group class because of my mom. And that's kind of how it all got started. I've done agility my whole life and I love it so much. And I love sharing my knowledge with other people. So that is why I do what I do. Now I've totally lost track of your 1,800 other questions, Vinny.
He said,
no, it's fine. We're going to start with like, what inspired us? Maybe we'll start like this. We'll start with like what inspired us. How did we start? And then go from there.
Love it. Well, that's what got me hooked. What about you guys?
Well, I mean, if I'm being honest, if we're going back like to the beginning, Beanie Babies. I used to collect Beanie Babies.
You too?
I used to collect them, right? And I used to set them up, and I used to wish that like I would give them jobs. Like I'd be like, this one's gonna watch like this side of my bedroom, and this one's gonna no. I'm losing Anthony. Anthony's getting nervous. No, but I was always an animal lover. I always liked animals. they interested me. I had, pet dogs, but oddly enough, it's funny. I look back on it and, I see either clients' kids or kids on social media that are like training their dogs. I'm like, I never really even trained my dog in my younger years. And then after Beanie Babies, you had Eliza Thornberry. She was a big inspiration for me. I was like, I really wish I could talk to these animals,
You
No,
look
but
like a character from there, actually.
Here we go. I just always, whether it was, at a circus or a zoo or whenever there was like any type of animal training, it always impressed me because it as a kid, I was like, wow, like that person is communicating with that dog or whatever animal they were working with. So when I look back on it now, I realize that that's kind of probably why I went this way. I also was in school for psychology, so really understanding what motivates people and then ultimately, animals, how to overcome difficulties, whether it's anxiety, depression, staying motivated, things like that. It's kind of how my brain was always looking and thinking. So that's kind of like the early seeds that probably were planted. What about you, Anthony?
The seeds again.
What's the
So
problem with you with the seeds?
I don't know, it's just your thing.
We're planting a lot of seeds tonight. We're going to have a lot of,
a lot of seeds.
There's going to be a lot of crops. Let's go.
So
where did you start?
Sort of. So when I was a kid, as young as I can remember, I was always fascinated and obsessed with dogs. I didn't know that the computer was used for anything other than printing dog pictures. And so I don't even remember. I had like, I don't know, 50, maybe more pictures printed of dogs that I would just like every day or every, couple times a week, I would just go to computer and look. I don't even know like how I found it. I can't remember that. But I just remember having pictures of dogs printed and just posted, like just hanging them up all over my wall in my room. And I wanted to be a vet for a long time. And then my first job actually was when I was 13. I worked for a vet hospital up until I graduated high school. So I worked there from 13 up until I graduated high school. And it was the coolest job I ever had. It was so cool. Like I used to do like kennel attendant stuff, but I used to be able to help in the exam room. He used to let me watch surgeries. Like it was so cool. Like when he had an emergency late at night, if I was there with them closing up, I would stay late and just like watch the surgeries and stuff like that. So it was something that was really cool. And then when I went to college and I realized how hard science was, one of the things I was also super interested was business. So I went for a business degree. And after college, I had a couple jobs and a couple management jobs, and I still wanted to do things with dogs. And so aside from like volunteering and stuff, like I wanted to actually do something as a business. So originally I wanted to start a dog daycare business. And my goal was actually I wanted to hire a few of the kids I worked with who had autism. And I realized what a bad idea that would end up being. But I still like one of the things in my business plan was generating how to generate different forms of revenue from different streams. And one of them was dog training. And so I was like, well, if this is the business I want to create, maybe I should learn how to do that in a more formal way. And I ended up going to the Victoria Stilwell Academy for Dog Training Behavior. And I liked it so much. I was like, all right, I'm going to do this full time. And I scratched the daycare idea. Thank goodness. I was actually thinking of that this morning. I was like, thank God I did not go into dog daycare. And and then after I had my mentor from that program, she was really into behavior, and it took me on a journey of working specifically with behavior cases more than anything else, which I thought I was just going to be working with puppies, honestly. And yeah, that's basically how I got into it. And I've been able to meet a lot of awesome people and stuff along the way, and been able to learn from a lot of great people like Mike Shikashio, Kim Brophy, etc. So yeah, that's how it kind of started.
Very nice, very nice. Yeah, so I started when I had a dog that had some aggression issues. So I know a lot of people start that way. It exposed me to a lot of different trainers. I bounced around to different trainers trying to find, help. And I was actually working at a psychiatric hospital part-time, and I was a personal trainer. And the similarities were interesting to me, right? Motivating, building behavior, modifying behavior. I started realizing that I liked doing it. It was fun for me. It was very rewarding when, just even in the beginning, teaching your dog to do something simple like a sit, or, teaching your dog to heel by your side. I really enjoyed that. So like Anthony, I wanted to go to some type of a school for it. And I ended up at Karen Pryor Academy. So I think like Don't Shoot the Dog was one of the first books that I had read. And a trainer that I was working with had recommended the school. So I signed up and I went through the program with my, at the time, he was, I think, 7-month field Labrador, bringing him into those group sessions. It was pretty funny, stressful, but it was definitely a rewarding experience to go through that. And yeah, that's kind of the beginning of my dog training journey. Besides, family members and friends seeing the stuff that I do at my dog and be like, hey, could you help me with my dog? So like in the beginning, it was a lot of just like going over friends' houses and like trying to just train dogs for fun for free on the side. Before ultimately working with a local trainer who specialized in group classes. So I taught puppy classes and basic manners and group classes for about 7 or 8 years. In the beginning, it was just a lot of cleaning pee and poop off the floor in puppy class and not getting paid, but going there after work and just kind of watching, But I was happy to kind of take anything that I can get in the beginning. So those are the origins of for me.
Nice.
So I thought we could maybe touch on some things that people might do if they are interested in becoming a dog trainer. Places to start, places not to start, maybe. I don't know. What do you guys think? Things to do, advice?
So one thing I'll just say, and I think like all of us might agree on this, is that so first of all, no matter what you're doing, whether it's training a dog or your own dog, or you're a trainer, or maybe you're a personal trainer for people, or a teacher, or whatever profession you are, you're going to be on your own journey and exploring and learning, and you may change over time. And so I think, one of the things that I would suggest is, I always suggest new trainers start out at a structured program. Personally, I just think that it helps provide a lot of quality and good material in an organized way for someone who's new starting out, because dog training is not, and dog behavior and modification and stuff, it's not just about teaching or learning how to teach a dog to sit or lie down or do whatever. There's so many other things attached to it, like the science behind it and stuff like that, that's really important, because that's going to help you understand so much more about the dog, the individual dog that you're working with, the family that you're working with. So I think that a structured program is super helpful to start. At least that's how I went through it. I feel that that's like, for me, that was the best thing I could have done, just because of the way that I learn. And then as far as continuing education, I'm constantly always taking courses, and especially now, I really like learning from people that I maybe would not have learned from before, who maybe don't always have the same thoughts or beliefs as me. Because I think that we can always learn from someone. I think that's so important, to be able to hear what other people have to say, learn from others, see what they do, and take what you like from them and apply it to what you do, whether it's dog training or something else in life. I think that's just something that's so important.
Yeah, I think the only thing I would add to that is in the very, very beginning, or it doesn't have to be the very beginning, but one of the first things that I would also recommend to do is find some type of, even if it's part-time job or volunteer work or just some place that you can get your hands on a ton of dogs. Whether
And a
it's
mentor and a mentor. I
and a
forgot to
mentor.
say
Yeah, mentor might be
yeah.
harder to get in the beginning,
Yeah, but
depending on your
that's big.
area. Yeah,
Yeah.
it might be difficult depending on your area, because sometimes, there's gatekeepers and there's people that are just busy and they just don't have time, right? Because
Yep.
some of them are just working hard and they don't really need someone shadowing them.
Yep.
But if you work at, it could be a daycare, it could be volunteering at a shelter, it could be getting a job, part-time job, or a job at a vet office, or just a place where you're going to get your hands on a lot of dogs. Because I feel like, I definitely learned, and maybe it's just my personal learning style, but I definitely have learned a lot from seminars and books and courses. But I feel like there's nothing compared to just like doing it, unfortunately, right? So you have to just do it and do it and do it, and you learn a lot when you're getting your hands on a lot of different types of dogs and different personalities and different clients too, right?
Yeah.
Because remember,
Oh,
that's
yeah.
one of the biggest, if you're doing dog training because you're like, oh, I don't like people, you see that all the time. Like I'm doing dog, like, I hate to break it to you, but most of the dogs that I train have an owner attached to them, right? So like I personally, like, I like teaching, I like helping people, I like working with people. I don't get offended when someone's not learning from me. I like take it as like a challenge of like, okay, I'm obviously not reaching them, like how can, and this is obviously disregarding someone that's just like blatantly rude to you, which like it happens to everyone, but like over time it's like few and far between, hopefully. Ultimately these people are coming to you and paying you money, so like hopefully they respect you at least a little bit. Otherwise, like, why are they hiring you in the first place? So yeah, I think that is something, like spending the time in those puppy classes in the beginning and just like getting my hands on tons of dogs, and the experience was like super important for me. Like the analogy I like to use is, and I'm not like degrading any like type of certification, but to me it was like, I feel like my certification was like getting your driver's license, and then like being great at dog training is like being a good driver, right? Like I've been driving since I was 16. I'm like 32 now. I'd hope at least, like I'm a more seasoned driver, and I'm a more skilled driver now than when I was 16, right? And a lot of that, it wasn't from like reading a book or passing a test. It was years and years and years of being, on the road. Although, see, I'm going off on these tangents, Anthony. Although sometimes when you do something over and over and over again, here you go, he's taking notes.
Oh,
You
no.
can start, maybe not looking over your left shoulder before you back out, because you back out every single day. So to what Anthony said, staying up to date, keeping yourself humble, not being like, oh, I know everything, I'm good to go, I don't need to go to any more seminars, I don't need to read about anything else, or I don't need to go to that new dog, like I don't need to, you gotta keep learning and keep an open mind, again, to what Anthony said, because and this is kind of, I'm going to transition back to like where someone can start, because there are a lot of different types of certifications. There are some people that don't really think that you need a certification. Some certifications, just to put it bluntly, are a lot of money, right? And sometimes if you are starting out, like I know when I was starting out, like it was the paying for the Karen Pryor Academy was not, it wasn't easy, right? Like I'm working and I'm paying, I have other bills, and it's like I gotta pay this too, and like, you know, it's hard. So where do you start? What do you feel about the certifications? So I'll ask you, Anthony. He's got, I know you guys can't see, but he's got a bunch of like framed certs over there, so making us all feel a little insecure, you know. So here he goes, and you know I gotta take little stabs at him.
Yeah,
So
love you.
where would you, should you, would you, could you, what do you think?
So I'm going to be totally honest and say, when I started dog training, I did not know that there are different methodologies, there are different beliefs in dog training. I always tell the story that like I went to Victoria Stilwell Academy, but it wasn't because Victoria Stilwell was this famous dog trainer on TV. I actually never saw her TV show before. And the reason I picked her was actually because her website looked the most professional compared to all the other programs out there. And it seemed very thorough. And it definitely was. But I went there being the only student out of 30 students. It was in person at that time. I was the only person out of 30 students that had really never seen her show or knew who she was. So like, you know, I think you have to find, so the point that I'm getting at is that, you know, you have to find what you feel is going to fit best for you. And, you know, there's a lot of different types of programs out there. So it's just a matter of like what you're going to feel works best for you. I'm more of a hands-on learner. So I wanted to go to something that was in person. And, you know, I was able to also have a hands-on in-person mentor as well on top of that. So like that was something that was really important for me as a learner. You know, there's all different types of programs, and you have to just find what you feel is going to fit best for you. And so yeah, that's kind of what I think. And then in terms of certifications, you know, there's a lot of different opinions out there in terms of certifications and licenses and things like that. And to me, I kind of look at it as getting certifications is one of those things that it can't hurt to have. I think it's important because in some way, I think it shows how serious you are about what you're doing as your profession. I mean, the reality is, and I'm not saying that if you don't have certifications, you don't take what you do seriously, but I think it's something that's important. And you know, especially with the way the dog training behavior industry is today, there are a lot of people out there who want to get a lot of different things regulated. So being able to have certifications or credentials can help provide a voice for whatever category you fall into and for what you believe in and what you're, you know, kind of fighting for with regulations or whatever. So I think that certifications are important. And also I think it's important too, because you know, the client at the end of the day wants to hire someone who's going to help them. And there are definitely trainers out there who have no certifications who can definitely help a customer, hands down. That's not even a question. There are plenty of trainers out there who have no certifications who could blow other trainers out of the water, have 20 certifications. I mean, it's just what it is, you know. So Vinny's shaking his head. Oh yeah, Anthony's on a roll now.
Oh yeah, here he goes.
So
I was gonna just like,
yeah, go ahead.
not to cut
Sorry,
you
I went
off
off on a tangent now.
Yeah, no, it's okay. So like you could also you should think about what your goals are.
Yeah.
And obviously get like if you want to get a job at a specific place, you should see if that certain place has certain certifications that they're looking for, obviously, right? because you can spend a lot of money and get a certification and then realize that like it doesn't open the door that you thought it was going to open. But like Anthony is also saying is, and you know, this is a highly debated subject that I'm sure we could have a full episode on, is like there is no regulation right now in the dog training world. So like if you're listening to this right now, I shouldn't even say this, but if you're listening to this right now and you want to say you're a dog trainer, you could just print out a card and go around tomorrow and be training dogs, right? So that's the reality.
But unfortunately, that's the reality, though. Some people
that is the reality. So like, to talk about like the other thing we were talking about, which is like how to choose a dog trainer, like keep that in mind,
and I just want to
obviously.
I just want to say, like, you made a good point, like in terms of what your goals are. Like, I think that's so important. And I didn't, as a new trainer or someone who's getting into training, I didn't know what all those goals were. You know, over time, I learned what those things were, what I wanted for myself and all that stuff. And, you know, as I got certifications, it was like another achievement or another, for me, like just another thing that I had that like it was achieving whatever those goals were. Because the reality is, for me, those certifications have helped me get to where I am, whether it's, you know, meeting the mentors I've been able to train under and learn from over time, and getting some other opportunities with my business and some other things. So for me, it has helped me, but that's just like my personal journey for me. Right. So like, I think you make a good point, like that you know, having certain goals are important. You may not know what those are in the beginning, though. Like I didn't. Like I said, I thought I was just be working with puppies. I had no idea that I was going to end up basically just working with behavior and aggression. So yeah, now you can go on now, Vinny. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
Oh no, it's fine.
Saying,
I don't even remember what I was talking about.
You were about to say, I think maybe you were about to say finding a trainer. I don't know.
Oh no, I was just warning people that like if you just find, like, anyone could be a dog trainer, right? But like Anthony was saying, I've learned personally a ton of great stuff and look up to dog trainers that have no certifications.
Yeah, 100%.
Right. So it is tricky. It is tricky to sometimes navigate. And then that's where, you know, like obviously like reviews and listening, you know, obviously other people meeting dogs that maybe someone trained, or watching dogs online that someone trained, is obviously something that you want to be doing as well, to see what ethically, you know, we've touched a little bit on the ethics of dog training. The different certifications might have different code of ethics. Funny story is actually the trainer that told me about Karen Pryor Academy was a balance trainer. So, you know, he was, I was a crossover. Now I'm like, I always say like I'm a crisscross, Chris. I don't even know. Right now, I like to just say that I'm a dog trainer, because I feel like things have gotten so polarized. There's like all these different camps. And as I've grown as a dog trainer, I truly feel like I've taken on my own flavor, right? Like my own, like I feel like I'm my own trainer, and I pull from a bunch of different things that I've learned over time that's worked for me. And to just like stick my flag in the ground in one of these camps just seems like I'd be doing myself a disservice, because I feel like I'm then now like in the shadow of some, you know, organization that then people might characterize me as. So it's not that I don't respect even my own certifications. I value them, and they were great accomplishments for me. But I've also grown, right? Like, not that I'm above them, but I'm just different than them, right? Like, I don't want to be defined by a certification. So I feel like that can sometimes be a trap in the beginning to, like, at least for me. So I'm talking just about myself. I don't want to like put this on other people.
Well,
but
and also you're basically saying, I mean, look, like what you're basically saying too is like,
but can I just finish right there quick 1 second? For me, there was an insecurity, like to you, as to why you said you would do certain certifications. Like in the very beginning, I was like, am I good enough? Like, and getting certifications made me feel like confident. right? And I feel like that can sometimes be, I don't want to say that like new trainers can be preyed upon, right? But it could make you just keep seeking out like a new certification, a new certification, a new do you guys know what I'm saying, or do I sound like I'm nuts, right? Where it's like I'm trying to like
well, you are nuts, but...
where it's like I'm trying to like validate or I'm like trying to prove myself, but like I'm just gonna get another cert, I'm gonna get another cert. And not that like learning and continuing education is great, like it is, but I feel like there comes a time where you can start feeling confident in yourself regardless of like you know, like a certification. And then you get certifications maybe, or you do continuing education just because you want to learn more, right? You should always be open to more learning. But yeah, I don't even know where I'm going with that. I'll just bounce it off to Anthony. Sorry, before you rudely interrupted me. You could,
Sorry. Oh, my God. So no, but I mean, like, but again, like that kind of goes back to what we were saying before, which is that everyone learns and grows at their own pace and takes in information at different times. I mean, like, you know, we've said this before in a couple of the other episodes, like that's how you and I kind of met. You know, it was that we were just learning from some of the same people and different people, and then kind of, you know, crossed paths, you know, because of some of like the places we were learning from, and being willing to be objective and hear others out that we maybe were not necessarily listening to before or whatever. And that happened at different times in each of our careers, right? So yeah, I just think I think like, you know, and I think that's okay, like that you're the whole point of growing and you know, the whole point of like if you change, I mean, it's not a bad thing. I mean, you're just growing as a learner. So yeah. Steph, we haven't heard from you in a while.
I was going to say, so it sounds like the moral of the story here is that you just need to get out there. You need to do your research, and find what works best for you. Right. Cause there's so many.
Tell us.
Well,
I mean,
I would chime in and so, I mean, I think all the points you guys have made have been fantastic. I would say in the agility world, there are literally no certifications required to teach the sport of agility. I mean, nothing. I have certifications in the fact that I am a judge for the sport. So I'm a judge certified in 2 different venues. I would say my certifications are that I have put titles on multiple dogs, multiple breeds. I continue to compete at the top of the sport amongst other great competitors. I've represented the US in the sport of agility in different world championships, continue to do that. But I don't think those accolades or anything make me the trainer that I am. I would give a lot of credit to the great mentors that I've had along the way. And I did that. Well, my mom, I would give credit to my mom first and foremost. And
she'll be very mad if you don't.
And then because of her that I found my first mentor, Diane Bauman, who's a world-renowned trainer, specializes in obedience, agility, herding, like just a brilliant woman. And she was kind enough to share her knowledge with me. I spent summers with her. And so I've learned a lot from her. And then I continue to learn from really great trainers and handlers around the world because I constantly want to know what else is out there. But again, those are not certifications. Those are just me being curious, being, you know, doing.
Well, I'm actually glad you brought this up because controversial subject time, right? We gotta bring it up. No, I noticed that, you know, and I know we haven't really talked about it. I'm assuming most people that are listening to this already know, right? Obviously, like if you were to lump dog trainers into one of 2 categories and just completely minimize everything into just a totally just 2 sides, right? It's obviously the balanced trainers, right? And then trainers that, whether they call themselves, you know, plus R, positive, you know, reinforcement trainers or force free. And what I notice is the one, the positive R, the plus R trainers will talk about certifications, and the balance trainers will bring up titles and awards. And I feel like both sides sometimes will discredit the others, right? Like, oh, who cares about how many titles you have? Like, and then the people that are winning all the titles is like, oh, your stupid little certifications, just a piece of paper, doesn't mean shit. But I feel like both are like, there is a value to both of them. If you get a certification, it means that you took the time to study and learn and meet a certain standard to pass and to prove that you are able to retain knowledge from something. Because again, like getting a certification doesn't mean, getting your driver's license doesn't mean you're a great driver, right? It means that you pass, but like everyone has a driver's license that's driving a car, hopefully, and some people crash their cars into trees, right? So just because you have a certification or you have a trainer that has a certification doesn't necessarily mean like you still might not have a good trainer on your hands, right? Like, some people are good at taking tests and they memorize answers and they're not really like retaining the thoughts, or maybe it's hard to take what's on paper and apply it to like a real dog in a real situation, whatever it might be. Like that could be the argument for that side, right? And then on the flip side, someone that gets a dog and then titles a dog or does some type of a competition and is able to show that they were able to meet the standards. Like a competition, dog competitions are interesting because they're coming up with, depending on your sport, like a set rules and set things that the dog has to do. And then you're able to succeed in that and you're able to kind of show your work. Now, we've kind of talked on this in old episodes. Like, I'm sure some people achieve those things by doing barbaric stuff, right? They might not have great relationships with their dogs. They might not even really be able to explain to you the 4 quadrants or definitions or even know these terms, but they're still able to get that finished result, right? So it's like, but there still has to be some type of a value to that, right? Not being barbaric to your dog and doing that, but showing that you can do something with your dog. So why do you think, like, do you agree with that? Do you notice that divide too? Like, I don't know, so coming from, I guess this is for Stephanie because she's the one of us that like, you're in a sport that no one has certifications. So like, is there a consensus about like certifications, or like, are they kind of just laughed off? Like if someone were to come up tomorrow with like an agility dog trainer certification, like, would you even think about doing it? Or would you be like,
Yeah,
I wish you
I
could
think
just take a snapshot of that face.
That's interesting. That's an interesting question.
it is an interesting question. So I guess oh boy. Okay. So there are technically communities out there that have tried to create systems for teaching dog agility. And it just so happens that I have one of those certifications. Because I aligned myself with this group of trainers before they went ahead and tried to mass produce it. I found these group of trainers because they were top competitors in the sport. I respect the heck out of them. I'm grateful for everything I've learned from them. I feel strongly that we share a lot of similar beliefs and ideas about training. When they went ahead and tried to mass produce their system, they sort of rubbed people the wrong way in the agility world. And I think people just have come to realize that there is no one size fits all system. There's still people out there that are like die hard, you must follow the rules, you must do everything a certain way. But I know for myself, and I know for a lot of others, that we've sort of outgrown those systems essentially. So to answer your question, I guess if there were to become a certification, would I go ahead and take it? I don't know. But that's just my mindset, right? Not everybody has that same mentality. I recognize that that's unique, but I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah, it is because like, you know, the thing that I see a lot, like when people message me, even myself now, there is so much information out there. It is hard to know, like, you know, who do I listen to? Who do I like? What is right? What is, you know, wrong? You know, you go on YouTube and there's just like the videos are just all over the place, you know, of everything. But yeah, it's just something that I've noticed, and I've kind of seen the extremes at both sides, like completely discredit, you know, like, and I think that's where I kind of started to to open myself up to people that didn't have certifications, right? Because I was like, wow, like they're doing amazing stuff with their dogs, right? Like I want to learn, about that. I want to see, you know, how are they doing this? And Anthony brought this up before, but staying open-minded, staying curious. You don't have to violate your ethics, right? But I don't know. What do you guys feel about that? Anthony, since you were talking before about like what made you say, like, why, I don't want to put you on the spot. We could just don't want to put you on the
I don't
spot.
know, I'll put him
But
on the
what
spot.
made what like when did you just like, if what made you look for more? Like why were you searching? Like if because I know for me, and like I could bring myself up after and throw myself under the bus, but like why did you even feel the need to continue looking maybe in other places that you previously didn't want to look? And why didn't you want to look before? And then maybe once you took a sneak peek, what kind of, like, maybe was there stuff that you didn't expect? And then you were like, the way I was thinking about this before was wrong.
Yeah, I think there are a bunch of reasons, honestly. So I think the first thing is that when you're in a certain group, whether it's dog training or politics or whatever, you're going to maybe vibe with those people initially and listen to all the things they have to say, especially people who have way more hours and are more seasoned than you. You're taking a lot of their word as truth or gospel or whatever. And if they discredit someone else or why they don't believe in what someone else does or anything of that sort, a lot of times you may, especially as a newer student, you may believe that, and it may be true, or you may just, you know, oh well, this person that I respect said this, so I guess it must be true, or whatever the case is. So I think that's one, you know, one thing is that when you're in a specific group where you're identifying yourself in a specific category, I think that sometimes it can limit you in the way that you may see things, or be willing to see things. I think also the other thing was, for me, I felt a little, maybe like, I don't want to say bored, but I felt like as I kept continuing education, I kept feeling like I was listening the same thing over and over. And I wanted to just see what others were saying and doing. And then kind of around that same time, I also was getting involved in sports. So I was training with Stephanie, and some of the things or the ways we were doing things wasn't like step by step how maybe like you would be taught to train your pet dog. But because she had more experience than me and she knew the way my dog could operate and his ability, there were certain things that we were doing that was like way ahead of, like, you know, what I would have thought. And so that, you know, starting to like step into like the sport area, I think really made me see that and open my eyes, especially, and then especially sheep herding, because with my 3-year-old Kelpie Journey, like we had some major struggles in the beginning, with training and some other health related issues. And so sports is a way for me to feel connected to him, because he just wasn't the typical pet dog around the house, and at least in the beginning. And so then once I started exploring sports, that really, opened my eyes to hearing what other people were saying and doing. And I got to see that so many people who had different knowledge than me, who maybe weren't even like so aware about certain behaviors or whatever. And what ended up happening was, the reality was that it didn't really matter, because they still had a bunch of other information and experience that I didn't have. And so I think that was like a really important moment for me as a trainer and a professional and as a student. And then when I got into sheep herding, that was really interesting, because sheep herding is not the kindest sport, to be very honest. I mean, they put a lot of pressure on their dogs. They can be, depending on who the person is, they can be very heavy-handed. Barbaric could definitely be a word in many cases. So to be able to learn from instructors who are willing to meet me where I was really valuable. And I learned so much from them. And like they may have different thoughts or opinions than me, but to be able to meet in the middle and be able to learn from them. I mean, like I'm so like grateful for that. Like I don't know, like I just feel like if it wasn't for that, then honestly, if it wasn't for that, I don't know that we would be doing like this podcast, or that I would be maybe friends with either of you, honestly, like if I was that way. So if I wasn't that way. So yeah, I just think that, I don't know. That was just like basically like how I kind of came to the space that I'm currently at now as a professional and a student.
Interesting. Yeah. Not that I want to say I was lucky to, but unfortunately in my past with my previous dog Jester, so where I obviously got my business name from, I kind of cross paths with both of the kind of extreme caricatures of what dog trainers are on both ends of the spectrum. So I had the balance trainer that was really doing or recommending that I do extremely punishing things to my dog and not thinking about his emotions, not thinking about how he felt. This was before electric collars had hundreds of different settings and people, taught their dog how to deal with it. It was like the electric collar I had like 4 settings on it, and the first 2 the dog didn't feel, and the third one the dog was like yelping. It was like very, flipping the dog over and pinning the dog down and alpha rolling and like just like truly harsh things that, looking back on it, I was struggling. I had gone to other trainers and I didn't know what to do, and I was trying to help my dog and help myself. But then I also had the trainer that almost didn't help me at all and was like, oh, just get rid of the dog, like, put it to sleep. And I know that's like a threat that balance trainers will use against the other side, and I'm sure some people will be upset, but like that happened to me. Like I can't change my own experience and my own history. Like I had a trainer come over and within 30 minutes was just like, just get rid of it, put it down, right? And offered me no help at all. And that was who I actually worked with first, and then I went to the other trainer. And then, once that dog had passed away, years later, I was like, never again, never will I ever use a tool or even like think about balance training at all. And I went super hardcore into the other end of the spectrum. And then, over time, I realized that not every single dog was a shut down, anxious dog, right? I got a Labrador that was like wild and spunky and hyper and crazy, and the dog is not scared of anything. And he was hard to deal with. He was a field Labrador, and I after 4 or 5 years of his life, I was still just nothing major, but just like a lot of like he never would calm down and he'd be wild on leash, and it was almost embarrassing to take him places. I had a vet one time. You guys are like this. I had a vet one time ask me if I ever thought about bringing my dog to a dog trainer, and like I was like in my head I'm like, oh, I guess bringing up like whether she's gonna hand out my cards or not in the office is off of the table now. Like she's obviously no vet referrals are gonna be happening here. So so like I just started exploring just other more mainstream balance trainers, and to my surprise, a lot of the stuff that I learned about that helped me the most was not about tools. It wasn't about punishing, right? Like I still remember the first time I think I've told this story before, like the first time I got a Michael Ellis DVD, I thought I was about to watch like the most horrible stuff ever. Like I felt like a little kid watching a rated R movie. And then he's talking about like building motivation and controlling drive and getting the dog pumped up and channeling the dog's energy into the right things. And the things that helped me the most from Michael Ellis in the beginning was like treat chasing, was like making more out of my rewards, like using my rewards in a more beneficial way, using toys. Like I couldn't even believe I went so long without like using a toy, not that like, again, like I just to keep everyone like in mind, like this is like this is years ago now. So like, I know people go, oh, well, people talk about the toys and all this stuff a lot now, like things have changed. Like I'm talking about, this was years ago, where, a lot of the circles that I was in was not talking about this. Like the way to build more motivation was just to get more treats or to get like a better treat. Right. Like if the dog doesn't take the kibble, get the happy howies and then get the hot dogs. And it was like, then this like guy comes along that I thought was going to tell me to like bonk my dog on the top of the head with a rolled up newspaper. And he was like, turn the reward into an event and run away from your dog and get your dog chasing and turn it into a game. And I was like, what the heck? It kind of like it opened me up. And I know some people just want to believe that they're on one side and the other side is just terrible. Like I truly love and value people from like all sides, right? Not that I like every person on each side, right? That's not what I'm saying, but like there is a balance trainer that I look up to and I love. There is a completely force-free, never use a tool trainer that I learn a lot from. And I think keeping your mind open to that is super important, even if it just helps one dog, right? Or even if it's just like them recommending a leash or like a toy, right? Like I've followed balance trainers before just because they have awesome leashes and collars and toys. So, I don't know. Now we're just yapping.
I was gonna say, I mean, I think we could go on for hours here. And
it's homework.
That's kind of the point of the show, right? Is we're three misfits that don't fall in anywhere, I don't think.
So basically, if you want to become a dog trainer, get ready for the ride. And if you're looking for a dog trainer, good luck. No, it's hard. It's messed up, and like that is almost a place like it's okay that I'm saying that. I feel like because like
I think so.
It isn't regulated. It is hard. Like it is difficult. Like there is no answer. Like what are we gonna say? Oh, just get this certification, or anyone from this certification is great. Like I personally don't refer people like that. Like if like I really don't really feel comfortable referring someone to someone unless like I've worked with that person like directly and I've seen that person, or like I would leave my own dog with that person. So it is hard. And I feel like, not that I want like tons and tons of regulation, because I'm not saying that I'm for that, but I feel like it is getting more and more difficult to to find out. But like what I personally don't think, and I'm sure this will get me into a ton of shit, is like I don't think the place to start is for one side to just be like the other side just shouldn't even be allowed to train. Like they shouldn't be the trainers, and then we're going to regulate it, and then like we're going to be the ones that are allowed to have, like we're going to be the dog trainers. And that could be either way, because I'm not just talking about one side. Like the balance trainers could say, oh, the force-free trainers are just putting dogs to euthanasia and they're just medicating them all and they're just not doing anything with them. That's abuse and they shouldn't be allowed to be trainers. And the force-free people could be like, oh, these people are barbaric and they're using tools and they're all like completely torturing their dogs and all the dogs are worse off, right? Like there has to be, or there should be, kind of like a middle ground. And I know me and Anthony were talking about this of like, what if a balance trainer did want to get a certification, but like they can't because they decide to use a tool, you know? And like that was one of the things that also would confuse me. And I know me and Anthony kind of talked about this on a previous episode, but it's like certain certifications will talk about like Lima, so like least intrusive, right? Minimally aversive. So the idea is like you start with the least amount of pressure and you know, positive reinforcement and stuff like that, and the environment and setting up the environment and things like that, and then you can progress. But then there's like not really a guidance on like how to progress or what to do, right? Or how to use a tool. I really think anyone that is a dog trainer should know, even if you're never going to use one, like you should learn from someone on the other side, because if you're a dog, like if you're someone that's a dog owner and you're listening to this and you're like, I want to find a dog trainer, then you can forget what I'm talking about, right? Because you could just decide what your ethics are and you could find a dog trainer that you love their dog and you love the relationship they have with their dog and you could just follow everything they say to do, right? If that's what you like. But if you're a dog trainer, like I'm going to go into someone's house and they're going to have a tool on their dog. And I've learned more about the fallout from tools from balance trainers than from people that don't use the tools, right? Because the balance trainers that are good have learned from their mistakes and they've made a ton of mistakes, and the good ones will tell you they made a lot of mistakes and they'll tell you, hey, don't do this with this tool because this crazy shit's going to happen, and I know that because I did that and I messed up a dog.
So first of all, I mean, a lot of the points you made are really good, and that's the whole point of why we're doing this show, because we kind of decided, all right, like we're all kind of getting tired of like the infighting and arguing. Like, let's have some really serious conversations with ourselves, and also we're going to be bringing on some awesome people on here to chat and interview and talk. And we may not all agree on things, the three of us, or those individuals may not agree with one of or all of us, or vice versa, whatever. But we want to have those open conversations in a very non-judgmental way, because it's obviously very important. And I was actually talking to kind of your point, I was actually talking to someone last night, a professional and friend. And I was saying, I have, like, for my business, there is a company here on Long Island that I get like about 30% of their clients after they're board and trained, which is a big number. And they're a company that generally will put e-collars or prong collars on the dogs right away, as opposed to maybe following more of a Lima approach or a more positive approach. And, I was struggling for a while when I was working with clients, because initially I would, oh, you must take this tool off, you must do this, you must do that. And that wasn't fair. I was putting people in, bad situation in a way, because I was making them maybe feel uncomfortable when they didn't know, like, why is this guy saying this when my previous trainer said that? And, like, okay, well, you're hiring someone new and your previous trainer told you do this. And it's confusing for a dog owner. And I was just telling my friend last night that learning to understand the use of how people are using tools, whether I agree with them or not, or whether they utilize them well or not, because there are people who can use tools with excellent timing and are amazing. There are trainers out there who are horrible. So and the reality is the same is true for positive reinforcement. Your timing could be horrible, or you're over treating and luring and creating behavior chains and causing demanding behavior, and et cetera. There, the list goes on for both sides. And I was just saying to my friend last night that, learning to understand how tools are used has helped me help those clients that I get from that company that I get about 30% of on tools. But it's been able to help me improve those dogs and the relationship they have with their family so much more. And then be able in most of those cases to eventually remove those things. And so I think it's very important. And so to Vinny's point, kind of talking about being objective and just learning to understand and not judge, and just being able to be open-minded, just to hear others out. It doesn't mean you need to go against what you believe or your ethics. It's not saying someone needs to change the way that you believe in or anything like that, but just to hear someone out or understand what someone's doing is the most important thing, because that's how you're going to learn and be a better trainer. I know I am, I'm not trying to say I'm amazing, but I know that because I understand, thank you. Because I understand how some of those tools are used, I know so much more than the person who doesn't know how they're used at all. And that makes a huge difference for my clients, because at the end of the day, that's what I'm there for. I'm there to help my customer and my client and their dog.
Well said. Fine, sir. So should we try to summarize this and wrap this up, or just
Stephanie? You've been
Stephanie's
good
great
at giving us.
I wish everyone at home could see Stephanie's dog right now, perfectly lined up with the mic somehow. The dog is behind
so
the mic
true.
in the background, but it's perfectly
How far
lined
away
up
is
so
she?
it looks like
5 feet away.
She's literally right over my shoulder.
She's talking.
Okay.
I'm obviously getting tired. I keep seeing Stephanie's dog in the background of her thing, and I think the dog's behind me.
No, she's
wait, that's not
right
my dog behind me. But
she really likes to participate in phone conversations. So imagine, what would you like to tell the people? She says, I'm bored. Can you please pay attention to me? No, I think you guys brought up some really fantastic points. I think you kind of hit the nail on the head, essentially. Like I said before, we're just a bunch of misfits that have come together to create a show for your entertainment.
All right. Well, on that note,
no, but we don't believe in a one size system fits all. You gotta go out. You have to do your research. I think social media is a great place to start, but it is not the be all end all. Be careful.
It's a bad thing to start. Maybe I don't know. That could be.
I don't know. I mean, yeah, you should definitely be careful of what you see on social media. It's not all it's cracked up to be.
So
I started.
I'm sorry to cut you off.
No, it's okay. I was going to say I started in a generation where there was no social media, and to this day, don't even bother going to my website. It's not even up to date.
In her generation, and Vinny and I are the same age, and we're older than you.
Are you? Yeah, I was like, damn.
You guys are older than this is true. Okay. This is true. But yeah, I mean nowadays you go on YouTube or Instagram, and it's training videos here, training videos there, but don't believe everything you see. You have to do your research and see what's behind the pretty Instagram filter, right? So
we didn't even really there are too many to list. I could just start reading all the papers behind Anthony's head right now if I want to start reading all the certificates. But
I don't know
because we
know
talked about surge and we didn't really say any of them. And again, I don't even know if we really should just we can't just we're not gonna list off 20, 30 different certs right now. But I think what you can, and again, beware of social media, but if you find big accounts with large followings that maybe you like the way that they're training and their ethics fall in line with you, go to their website and see what certifications they have, or you might find out that there are none, right? Because there are certifications for balance trainers. There are certifications for plus R trainers. There are certifications that are kind of somewhat in the middle, but have like ethical constraints or parameters that they kind of have set. So I don't know what you guys feel about that. Like, we're not going to sit here and just be like, these are all the certifications. There's too many to list out.
Yeah, I just think I agree. I would find, like I said, I would just find someone that, or the people that you seem to like and respect. And I mean, honestly, like everything, to me, everything starts with a question. So like, I am all about reaching out to people and connecting with them and seeing what they have to say, or who they recommend, or what organization they recommend, what program they recommend. I think that's a good start. I would be a little skeptical about some of the stuff on social media. I mean, you can go to a place like Vinny's Instagram page and he's got amazing stuff up there. And then you can go to other people who, it might be questionable. So, but like, that's maybe my opinion, right? Like some people might say Vinny sucks, and his beard
totally
is
fine.
weird. And,
My beard
like,
is weird. My pants are funny.
Yeah.
Everyone likes my funny pants, though. That company better start sending me some free pants. That's all I know.
I was thinking about that. You need to like get either a like, what do you call that? Like a affiliate link for that or something.
I better. They
really should, because that one post,
they must be really popular. They're not as popular here, but they have like 500,000 followers on Instagram. Like, they're huge.
But like, they advertise on their site like that they're meant for dog training and
they're good. They're legit.
And I saw that one post with the leash walking. You had like 5 or 6 people in that one post ask about the pants.
Yeah.
It's crazy. Because I remember when I first like met you, I remember saying, where did you get those awesome pants?
It's so funny because the people that know me like made fun of me so much for those pants, like friends and family members. And then like, so every time people are asking, I'm like, look, like all the other comments, I don't let that go to my head. Like, if they, oh, you're great, oh, that's awesome, like, it doesn't go to my head. But when they bring up the pants, I'm like, you see, they like the pants are undeniable.
Yeah, if you want to make Vinny smile, ask about the pants. If you want to get under,
if you want to see great dog training, go to Anthony's Instagram. If you want great pants, go to mine. That's and if you want to see someone that actually wins medals, you just go to Stephanie.
All right, guys. Well, this was an awesome episode. So, like we said, we recorded before, and then we decided we needed to, after a few pre-recorded episodes, we said we need to go back and backtrack a little and introduce and kind of talk about who we are, where we kind of stand, and what we kind of believe in, etc. So we hope you guys enjoyed this episode, and yeah, that's it.
Homework.
I almost want to keep it weird, but that's from Morbid Podcast. Sorry, guys. The morbid listeners will understand.
Why?
Like, what? Obviously, you guys have some homework to do. Come on.
Your homework is to do your research.
Do your research. Whether you're looking to be a dog trainer or you're searching for a dog trainer, do your research. See what fits with what you believe in, and yeah.
Until next time.
Bye. Class dismissed.
Oh,
did we all just say it at the same time?
No, you two nailed it, and I just dropped my draw.
We're just gonna every week we're gonna say it, and one day we'll get it.
That better stay in this episode. I want it in that it was there. That was there.
We said it at the same time.
We hope you enjoyed this episode of the Canine Classroom. If you liked the show, make sure to smack that like button, share the show with your friends, and give us a rating. Until next time, class dismissed.